Yes, we did it. The High Court of Australia has ruled that Victoria's zero and low emission vehicle tax is unconstitutional. This is a key moment for not just Victorians, but all Australians, and I hope that everyone is celebrating right now. Well, maybe not this guy. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you why this is so important and what's next. First up, the High Court has determined that Victoria cannot impose a distance-based charge on electric and plug-in hybrid vehicles. The tax started back in July 2021 with a toll of 2.5 cents for battery electric vehicles for every kilometre travelled, or 2 cents for plug-in hybrid vehicles. This was linked to inflation, has since increased to 2.8 cents per kilometre for battery electric EVs and 2.3 cents for plug-in hybrid vehicles. That's a 12% increase in just 2 years. For me personally, I paid more than $1,300 on this tax. So with the court overruling this charge, it means that moving forwards, Victorian motorists don't have to pay this grossly unfair tax. That means there is no additional financial burden on a select group of motorists to pay a tax. And that means that travelling out of Victoria will no longer be taxed like it used to be. This ZLEV charge was dubbed the world's worst electric vehicle policy by many. And that, to be honest, was putting it politely. It was inequitable, it was poorly thought out, and it was bungled on no less than 5 levels. And the wrong thing to be doing in 2023. First up is bureaucratic clunkiness, like dividing kilometres travelled across 2 financial years, even though you might not have travelled an equal distance in either one or the other. Administrative error on Vic roads for cancelling 700 car registrations through no fault of the owner. It penalised motorists for kilometres never travelled. This was discovered by the Victorian Ombudsman, who noted that Vic roads imposed a late penalty charge based on estimated kilometres an average ZLEV would travel every day. That was calculated by the Department of Transport to be 13,500 kilometres a year, or 37 kilometres a day. And that meant that if you could not do your declaration, say you're overseas and you can't actually know where your odometer is, and more importantly, you can't substantiate that with photographic evidence required by Vic roads, they would charge you 37 kilometres a day, even though you never even drove those kilometres. It made every road in Australia effectively a toll road. And number 5, it was especially unfair on plug-in hybrid owners who could not argue that their car did X number of kilometres in pure battery mode versus a portion of their journey that used petrol or diesel. This obviously has many ramifications. They would be paying fuel excise and GST as well as this tax, so triple taxed. Good one, Tim. Thankfully, today's decision means that this poorly thought out tax will no longer have to be paid by my fellow Victorians, and importantly, for those living in any other state or territory. You see, New South Wales, Queensland, Tasmania, South Australia, ACT, Western Australia and the Northern Territory were in support of Victoria. And they officially presented arguments to the High Court of Australia, hoping that they too could charge for every kilometre travelled in our massive country. The legal term for this is intervener. And you can view the arguments to support this type of tax on the High Court's website. Links below. But you know what? Save your time because, well, this tax is done and dusted. And just a little side note, for those in the federal government right now who are thinking, great, we can do this, please do go check out the Victorian Ombudsman report, because what we have just been through for the last 2 years is the wrong way to be doing this. I'm grateful the High Court of Australia deemed this tax to be unconstitutional, as it now removes a financial barrier to electric vehicle ownership. EVs have many benefits in that they have no tailpipe emissions. They make our streets and communities quieter. They remove harmful particulate matter from our environment and reduce our CO2 footprint. As our grid becomes more renewably rich, these benefits only but improve. Today's landmark ruling means that this tax and its ever-present barriers are removed. And hopefully good policy replaces bad. Just like when you might think twice about buying something that has ongoing costs, I believe that Victoria's electric vehicle tax discouraged people from buying EVs and punished EV owners who are trying to do the right thing. This tax was ad hoc, piecemeal policy which undermined our collective efforts to reduce emissions from transport. Today's decision is a step in the right direction towards a cleaner, low emissions future, and scrapping this tax, read bad EV policy, made worse by the recent scrapping of EV incentives, is hopefully a new beginning to consistent, supportive electric vehicle policy that will unify our country. If you're unfamiliar with our legal system, know that the High Court is, unsurprisingly, the highest court in the land, meaning there are no appeals nor retrials. That is it. It is done. It's final. And the tax is gone. If you have an odometer declaration or payment notice due, write to VicRoads today and ask what this decision means for you. Until we get something official from government, let's be cautious and meet any requirements asked of us. Kath and I knew going in that the stakes were high and the outcome could be devastating. Thankfully, more than 700 people supported us and contributed more than $50,000 to get us to the High Court. Whilst this dollar amount only covered some costs to date, don't ask, the High Court has ruled that Victoria has to pay our cost of bringing proceedings. I'm grateful for this outcome and honestly relieved. My shoulders are literally feeling lighter and my stress levels subsiding. Speaking on behalf of Kath and our legal team, it's been a long and stressful 2 years. We started working on this in March 2021, and this outcome is a result of countless hours of work by David Barnum, David Hertzberg, and the Equity Generation team. Our barristers, Ron Merkel, Craig Lenaham, Francis Gordon, and Thomas Wood, all for providing such impressive legal arguments which helped us win this case. To everyone at Equity Generation Lawyers, our barristers, a big, huge thank you from me and no doubt you. You've done it. You've rid our state of the world's dumbest EV charge. For me today, this landmark ruling will mean a national approach can now be adopted. The EV policy and economic drivers that help, not hinder, to get people out of dirty, polluting vehicles and into clean, green forms of transportation. Sure, electric vehicles are fun, fast, and they save you money, but they also can tow your boat, even a plane, and help Mother Earth. And amazingly, they don't ruin your weekend. So, no matter who you are or where you live, today's High Court decision effectively scraps Victoria's EV tax. And that means Kath from Victoria, Rob from New South Wales, Tim from Timbuktu. You can look forward to a cleaner and greener future.